This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Wow. Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to the Dr. Pat Show, formerly known as Crust Busting Your Way to an Awesome Life. And thank you, Nick Johnson, for bailing us out with that beautiful, beautiful piece of song and music that you created. Of course, after Coldplay decided it was too much for Coldplay's clocks to be associated with the Dr. Pat Show. I'm not sure why that was. But let me just start out by saying this. So for 23 years, popping into this arena and not knowing anything about it, the good news for me was I lived and I had just moved to Seattle, right? Went to school in California, moved to Seattle. And what I discovered about Seattle or Western Washington or whatever you want to call it, this was an incredibly spiritual, metaphysical, and conscious business community across the board. And I had not really been in the throes of how people express that. So one of the things that really got excited about, and some of the events we were really instrumental in putting on. For example, What the Bleep, we were the only radio show that promoted What the Bleep and their indoctrination, and we filled the theaters. But I didn't know anything about anything. I'm not an event planner, but I love to go. I don't sit there and wonder, how am I going to get this created and how am I going to get the people on it? No, I don't do that. That's not what happens. And it's certainly not my life's pathway. But my guest today is all about that. Here's what I learned. It was very easy for me to understand planning these amazing events and bringing all these people together was for somebody else to do. It did take me a while to figure that out, but you're going to hear the why, the where, the how, and the when from Mary Ellen Popyk joining me here today. Why? Just remember this, the Sanctuary Network. Just remember that, because we're talking about what it means to emerge as a premier planner, facilitator, put it all together person, understand the ins and outs, pleasing a wide range of people, not in an online event only, but now plan it in person. Now think about, what is that going to look like? How do we orchestrate it? How do we create a momentum? And by the way, I'm telling you, that isn't the end, because we got an event going on up here in Everett, and they're calling themselves a metaphysical event, and there is nobody coming through the doors. So we're going to talk to Mary Ellen about that. Started in 2005, one-day consciousness living fair in Memphis. See, this is what I'm saying. 2005. My show is still called Crust Busting, so I wasn't even figure that out. But here she goes. Here goes Mary Ellen. This is what she does. And, you know, what she did is founded not only her own personal brand journey and message, but decided that, wait a minute, we need a physical space. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, people, phones and internets, that's cool. But when you're talking about what we're talking about, you need to be looking in somebody's eyes, especially if they're doing a reading for you or doing something for you. Yeah. Mary Ellen, thank you so much. And, you know, I'm very clear, and we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about the people you bring together. The first time I was asked to facilitate an event, it was a huge event. It was called One. And I didn't do it alone, but it was massive and it was outdoors. And it was so much work, I cried every night. Oh. Because you don't know what you don't know. You think you're getting Lindsay Wagner to show up, and you think you're getting these people, and you think you're putting on a panel, and then what happens? Plane gets late, people don't come in, somebody's got a cough. I want to ask you this question. I just gave you people a bit of information, just a bit. But given your journey and now getting ready to embark on the next part, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the obstacles, Mary Ellen, that you had to overcome, given all of that, to bring you to this moment?
I learned a lot. The more that you do, the more that you learn. There's so many things to it. And I think of our very first event. It was in Memphis at a big, it was called the Agri Center. It's this big, and had all these different rooms and aisles and halls and things like that. And what they did was they put us in one little hall of this big giant event, which was like a Christmas craft show. And nobody could find us. I didn't know about having signs outside. But again, I didn't know we were going to get swallowed up by this whole thing. And then the response from the people that were there. So and then the food, the delivery, for the lunches didn't come, and that made a lot of hangry people. So there's just so many things that you learn and do it from experience. I always say the hardest show is the first show. So when we do many locations that we do every year, but when we go to a new place, that's always hardest. And when we go back, it's a little bit easier. I think, and then you build up more of a following with that as well. So I couldn't even begin to tell you the things I've learned. There's just so many things, and we definitely learn from our experience.
But this is really why I love this, because you're here today and you've been here for a bit and you're bringing these events out into the world. You've got some events coming up, right?
We do. We have 3 shows coming up in November, and then we've got a full calendar for 2026. So we've always got things that are going on for sure. And then we actually are starting to diversify. We were doing Just Spirit Fest, a metaphysical holistic crystal expo, which is a specific genre, so that's kind of different. It's not like we're selling t-shirts and socks. It's going to be a niche market where we need to make sure that we reach the people that are interested in coming to our shows. But we just started a natural wellness expo because that is a little bit different. That's going to lean towards holistic, maybe towards medical, and that's going to be a different audience yet. So we can, get everybody that's interested in what we've got to offer. So we've got a lot of things coming up. So I'll be sure I'll give my websites out later. We've got a lot going on. So
look, I started to tell my story, and I want to hear yours because, people always ask me, blah, 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 when did you get started? But I'm going a little deeper now because I always get asked, how did you know? And the other day on a show I just shared, part of me, I'm somebody that has a certain style of neurodiversity, and it is a real gift now in life. But I see things, and honestly, this network was born, right? 2005, when you started this, I'm driving across the I-90 and I saw the network. But here's what I want to ask you. I had a sense of knowing as a kid. I did.
Yes.
Got kicked out of Catholic boarding school because I talked to Jesus, and that was unheard of. But I want to ask you about you personally now, because you too had a sense of things.
I did, and also was Catholic. I didn't realize that. I had my first what I consider paranormal experience in church too, and I knew enough not to tell anybody else about it.
I didn't know enough. I did not know enough.
Well, I already had the experience. I could see and hear things other people couldn't as a kid, and I thought everybody could. And I would talk to my mother about it, and she seemed to go along with it as if this was just a regular thing, And then one day she laughed at me in a way I knew she thought this was a joke. So I really kind of kept it inside after that. So I was having these experiences, didn't understand any of it. And then the whole thing with the church and the religion and, there's just a lot of information coming to you. But I do know that even as a kid, I always went by my intuition. I really tried to operate on what I thought was right. Even though that, when you're a kid, you have other people telling you what to do. But so to that end, that's kind of the intuition, the more the esoteric part of it. But as a kid, I loved to do the muscular dystrophy telethon carnivals that they had, and you know, my mom would help me make the little games and things like that, and we'd have prizes, and it was fun. So I knew early on I really enjoyed having gatherings and doing the events like that too. So fast forward now, I'm 12, and pretty mature for a kid. And I come downstairs one morning, my stepmother's reading the paper on the couch, and she said, "Hey, there's a psychic fair on Erie Boulevard. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'll get my coat." And it was just like finding my tribe of people. And it was so refreshing to have people that spoke the language, that knew exactly what I'd been experiencing, that it could just explain it to me. And I know how much that meant to me. And that's
Mm.
pretty much why I started doing the shows in 2005. It was always my intention to be able to create that platform like that.
Yeah, I love it. So can I comment for a minute? Because both you and I, just to say and to point out, one of the things that was so special to my evolution to be allowed to be me was my stepmom. My birth mom
Mhm.
committed suicide. And
Oh,
she was an open book and a love bunny, but this world was way too harsh for her.
yeah.
But you see, we have these moms, right? Your mom was like, "You want to go to the psychic fair?" My mom was like, "Do you want to go march for equal rights and end racism?" And she would drag us three girls out, right? We would get
Mhm.
out and go from the Bronx. But these are just tidbits of how they helped us open a door. How did that door that opened, thanks to your mom,
Mhm.
how did that door, how did you get from that to thinking, I'm gonna I'm gonna run like a major event?
I was also born with this sense of fearlessness, I guess. There's a kind of a fun story. I won't tell the whole thing. I couldn't swim. I was 6, and there was a high dive at the place where we used to go swimming. And I was looking at all the kids waiting in line to go jump off the high board and decided I was going to do it. And I remember my dad yelling at me. He saw me as I'm halfway up the ladder saying, "Get down from there." And to make a long story short, I jumped off and wish that he hadn't made such a fuss. But just, I'd always wanted to be able to do it. And when I set my mind to it, I just know. I know whether it's going to work or not, or I know whether
Yeah.
I can do it or not. So that was pretty much in 2005. I was divorced. I was living in Memphis, Tennessee. I had no family there. I had a small friend circle. I was going to Unity Church then, and that's when I decided I was going to give this a go, and it just kept getting better and better. So,
So part of this too is I love that. I cannot believe. Okay, so here's where I am. I'm just like, are you kidding me? She didn't swim. She was afraid to swim. I couldn't swim either. I didn't have a dad that did that. I had a sister that thought, oh, we're at Bronx Beach and pool, and we're just going to throw the kid in. I'm
mhm,
like
mhm,
maybe 6, 7, maybe the
mhm,
most.
mhm.
But I couldn't swim. So my sister decides to throw me in the deep end of the pool. Hello, you ready? The Bronx. Do you know how many people crowd themselves into a pool in the Bronx? And I don't know how my sister thought she was going to find me. But you see, let's talk about intuition here, if we might call it that. My sister, highly intuitive, and she left this planet way too early.
Mm.
And somehow she jumped in that pool, surrounded by about 25 people, and yanked me out.
Wow.
Now, still didn't learn how to swim, so just saying. But the old sink or swim idea
Right,
comes up here,
right.
right? When you think about the state of fearlessness for yourself, how do you bring that forward in the work you're doing today and in the world? Because let's not forget, you're a production company for live events, and we just went through COVID not too long ago.
Yeah, I thought that was the end of it. I'm a pretty much a rule follower. Now, again, understand sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, but I really thought this was the end of my plans. I had scheduled 3 shows in 6 weeks, and I was really ready to take that leap of working behind a desk and going out and doing this full time. And they were shutting down Broadway and shutting down the NBA and everything. And I just thought this was it. And one of my vendors mentioned she was doing a show that another national company was doing in Tampa, in another city here, and she needed help in her booth. And I thought, well, that'd be fun. It'd be kind of like being at the store again on the other side of it. And I went, and Florida opened up really early, and I didn't quite really understand that then either. That we were lucky enough to be one of the states that did really focus on getting business back. So I resumed my plans and just kind of went back. But I feel like that there's an even mix of fearlessness and intuition. I want to, I don't even really want to say you want to be smart. You just need to, you just know, there's just a knowing of what is going to work and what isn't going to work. And, sometimes it doesn't work on the first try, but you fine tune, and you always have good people that surround you and help you and show up right when you need it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I love talking about this today, because, it leads to the question as we fast forward to where we are now. And, thank you for sharing the backdrop and the history about that, because I think it is so important to see. I mean, you and I did not plan to wear blue today, but we are wearing blue today.
Yeah.
Just as a sidebar there, Sierra. And, part of this, though, is you go through these things, and it's hard for me to tell my story. I don't know. And I'm being asked a lot because I'm basically private, but I'm having to share things now.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question always comes up, how did you get from there to here? Now, similar question for you, but not quite that. How did you get from there to here? And tell us what's going on with the sanctuary. And you notice this is the first time we've used the word, the sanctuary.
Yes. So when I decided I was going to get the physical location in Memphis, I was trying to decide what to call it. And I literally had laid down to take a nap. I wasn't even super meditating on it, but it was, in the forefront of my thoughts. And I woke up and there was a Bible verse that came to my mind, and it was, and I'm sorry, I can't quote exactly where it's from, but Jesus was traveling with his disciples, with his followers, and they were getting a lot of attention and they were very tired. And he said, "Come away with me. Let's rest a while. We'll find sanctuary." That's in the New International Version. And I love that, because to me, that's what sanctuary is. Let's rest. Let's just, be able to talk about things, just us, be able to recharge, rejuvenate, and talk about what's important, so that is literally, we are a sanctuary for mind, body, and spirit. So I got the location, and a local store in Memphis was going out of, a metaphysical store, was going out of business, and gave me all of their things on consignment. And then it wasn't a couple of months later, I realized we needed a bigger space to have classes. And we did that too. And we had all kinds of really great things going on. So I did start doing bigger shows. We did little metaphysical fairs there, but again, we needed bigger spaces. We went to the fairgrounds there. And I did that up until I left Memphis in 2013. And I came here to Florida. My daughter had gone to college. And I thought I was going to pretty much just live a mundane life, that I sold the store. I brought the platform with me, the Sanctuary for Mind, Body, and Spirit. We had our Facebook page and everything. And that lasted a few years. And then I really missed it. So I rented a space. We had 18 or 20 booths. I remember I would sit at the admission table and read a magazine but people loved it. The vendors did well, and then again, it made the opportunity for that one-to-one contact. Like you said, nothing can beat that. And that was, I think, the secret sauce for COVID, for the pandemic, was once we resumed those shows, people missed being together so much.
Yeah.
And that's when we realized how valuable that is. And 5 years later, I don't think it's been lost on people. I still think that they understand. We can do a lot online, but there's nothing like face to face.
There really isn't. And, we experienced that quite a bit. I mean, next year, we're really looking at doing more. But for you, you are taking it out there. I want to ask you this question. You have many, many people that have come, that have presented. Give us an idea of some of the folks that show up and some of the things they're doing in the world. Because I think when people hear this for these phrases like medical, metaphysical, we don't quite put that other part together on this other idea about health and wellness, you see.
Hmm.
So you're really planning, just kind of like we are, you're planning to really tap into the points, may I call them pain points, that people
Hmm.
have had recently, so that you can provide a solution, and not just a solution about an online course where you never see anybody, but a solution through the voices, through the lenses, and through the modalities of other people, aren't you?
Right, right. And that's why an example of why it's so beneficial for you to tell your story. When you can connect with other people and hear about what they've been through, you just understand it's not just you. This is a lot of people are experiencing these things and having these thoughts. These aren't, you're not an island. You definitely are part of a village. So we've had people of all the different modalities and genres, different healers, um, different speakers, authors, artists. So back in Memphis, we had every Saturday we would have a full setup. We would have psychic readers. We would usually have a couple of different healers and then maybe a pop-up vendor, a jewelry artist or something like that. But we had some pretty big names in there. Cryon, Lee Carroll, if anybody's familiar with him. Um, it's been so long now because that ended. I sold the store at the end of 2012, I think.
Hmm.
But at the shows that we have in Memphis now, or I'm sorry, here in Florida, and we are going up as far as New York State too. We're going all up and down the East Coast.
Wow.
We're starting to have bigger speakers that come with us too. People from the History Channel, Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, you know him.
Yeah.
He was just at our show. He lives in Florida, so that's also
Yes.
a great thing that we share. And he is so talented.
Oh man,
Really, really
tell
a
me
great
about it.
person. And that's why it's so exciting to be able to see him in person because that energy and seeing him make those connections with people and seeing their reactions to the connections as they make them, there's nothing like it. That's such validation. So even though you may not have got a message, when you see their reaction and you know that he has gotten right in on it, you just can't beat that. So but we have a lady who comes and plays the harp, and she is teaching people the harp as a healing tool, even. And that energy, again, just to be in that. We've got speakers that run all day,
Yeah.
each day. Conference quality is what I was saying. This isn't a commercial, I swear. But there's just so many great people of all these different modalities. There's, really something
Yeah.
for everyone. There's a guy that is doing a lot of men's work where they get together, just the men, and they might do some shadow work. But also just being able to talk about things from an esoteric perspective or even a holistic health perspective together. It's so powerful. Really great things that we're seeing.
Yeah. Look, this is exciting. Two things. One, before we go to break, I want to know how people can find out more. And then when we come back from break, we're going to talk about your latest new adventure, and how it all comes together. But what is the best place for people to go? Look at your little kitty. Is that a kitty or a dog?
That
How
was the
cute.
corgi,
Just did a whole show on pets. That's the
and that's
corgi.
why I'm being a little distracted. I've got two 9-week-old kittens and they're everywhere. They're climbing in the plants.
That's,
They
I love
all
them.
day. But uh
Don't worry about it. We love the kittens.
So,
Yeah. Oh no.
spiritfestusa.com is
Oh.
the Spirit Fest website. And then we've got the naturalwellnessexpo.com, but we are launching the Sanctuary Network, and that is going to be the umbrella for all the different projects that got coming up and which we're going to reveal in a few minutes, I think.
Yes, we are. For those of you out there, stay tuned. When we come back, you're going to hear how Mary Ellen is bringing all of this, everything we just talked about, to a live streaming TV show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, we are so thrilled. I have to tell you, this is about building community today. The episode is called The Sanctuary Network with my very special guest, Mary Ellen Popyk. And joining me here today is somebody that you just heard. There are some things in life that you are literally called to do. The pathway is open for you. The only thing that happens if we don't fulfill it is us. And I know a lot about that. But then you arrive. And as Mary Ellen just described, you don't only work your way through challenges, you emerge from them stronger, more powerful, and more committed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to talk about now. Because now I want you to remember the Sanctuary Network. Mary Ellen, before we jump into that, again, remind people how they're going to be able to follow you, because we have people. I'm so surprised at all the people in Florida now that we're connecting with. And it's not just Florida, it's right up that whole coastline. But tell people how they can follow you, how they can come to the events, all of the above.
So the Spirit Fest is our biggest and our longest event, and that is spiritfestusa.com. And then the full calendar of all of our events are on there and all of the information. There will be a page for each city where you might be able to see special things that might be going on in there. Then we've got naturalwellnessexpo.com. And the Sanctuary Network website is live. It's not quite finished, but it looks really great. And that's going to be the umbrella for all of the different things that we've got going on. And we're going to have special features, special speakers, special guests, information. I love ads, like advertising. Like when I read a magazine, I like the ads, sorry. But I want to know what people that are interested in the same thing as me, what they're buying, what they think is really great right now. And we're going to have features on there like that, what's cool, what's happening, what's the latest, and the best of the best. So that'll be a site I think people are going to want to check often to see what new and what's being added there too.
I love it. Now, one of the things that I love about this, and this is an energy of this year, people say this is a 9-year. So for those of you out there, I'm not an expert on this, but a 9-year usually is a year of, I want to say endings, but not quite the right word, Mary Ellen. It's a year where you pull your what together. You wanted to clean your closet out, you better clean it out this year. You wanted to get those 2 kitties, you better get them this year. Those kind of things, because next year is a 1 year. And that's exactly what you're talking about that you're doing. Now, what's the icing on the cake, the cherry on the ice cream sundae? It's the Sanctuary Network. Talk to us about it, but also talk about how you're going to bring that to live streaming video.
Well, thank you to you and the Transformation Network. We're starting an hour-and-a-half show, 90 minutes, where we're going to talk about current affairs, kind of the energy of what's going on, with that. We're also going to talk about what we're watching on TV or streaming, or who might be new, or what the latest things are. We're going to have really great guests, panels where we're going to be discussing current things and things that are relative to everybody. And then we're going to close out each show with soul business, conscious business advice, tips, a few minutes based on our experience of things that we've seen, advice that we might be able to give for people that are getting into, even if it's mainstream enough. We do have people at the shows that sell CMOS, for example, and they're very esoteric, and that hits a certain crowd, but they know the benefit of that. They know the holism of that. And so we're going to appeal to everybody who's in a conscious business. So really excited.
Yeah. And I want to just say this back again, because here's what I'm excited about. And, when you talk about this for so long, just like you, right? 2005, me, whatever, we're talking about it. But you don't know, is it going anywhere? And I got to tell you what I'm super excited about is we're seeing it now. And we're seeing it in multiple ways. How do we know? Watch the History Channel. I mean, I have no affiliation to the History Channel, so I want to be clear. But look at how things are being talked about. Now channels on cable are coming up that specifically go into places and talk, not as if this is some alternative, but as if this is a living, breathing the world we're living in today. And so I love the way you're stepping out and doing the show. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And I also love what you said, because for so many years, our network had been labeled alternative until we relabeled it the new mainstream in media. And now we're the new mainstream in human potential. Because I want to ask you this, don't you feel like it's time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've been interested in this since I was a kid, and I've seen the evolution of it, and I've seen it become more mainstream. Like I said, there was no internet. There was even very limited books at the bookstore that you could buy, and it was really hard to get this information. I don't know if you're familiar with Seth, the Seth channelings
Oh,
that she did.
oh,
That was some of the front runner of this information. And now we look at it and now it's the foundation, it's just some of the best that was out there. But one of the benefits of being around for a while is that you get to see the evolution of things. And yes, I definitely see it is time. People are younger. They are, as they're getting interested in it, there's just so many more resources for them, other people for them to talk to. And now is the time. We are in an ascension period. It's not just humans. The planet is ascending and is evolving as well. And we are here to empower that ascension.
wow. Now, Sierra, that's a clip you want to pull. And I want to talk about this in terms of through your lens now. Clearly, your energy and excitement for what's happening now and what you're planning and what you're doing. And I want to just talk a little bit about the show. And also, I want to weave that into the wellness work you're doing,
Mhm.
because both, especially wellness in the area of wellness and well being, such a need for it. Can you talk about how that's in your heart and how you now realize there is such a need for it now?
Since the pandemic, we have seen such an increase in anxiety, even depression, and it's starting to become more talked about. And unfortunately, a lot of the mainstream physicians just want to medicate people instead of trying to figure out why people are feeling the way that they are. Then that is leading people to see how much of our emotions have affected our health over the years, and how mainstream medicine maybe doesn't focus on the whole body, but maybe they just might treat a certain part of it. And I'm a big fan of combining holistic natural medicine with Western medicine. I had to have my gallbladder out, and believe me, had I waited and tried to treat this naturally, things would not have been good. So there definitely needs to be a good blend. If you've got something wrong, please go see your doctor. But more than ever, we are realizing how beneficial natural therapies are, from sound therapy to reflexology, supplementation. One thing that's really popular right now is these blood tests that people are getting. And again, this is outside and above of what they normally do at the regular doctor's office for the checkup. So then addressing some more of the more emotional components and how that affects us too. And then mental. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and he talks about the neural network and our programming, and how sometimes we need to kind of undo some of the programming that we learned as kids. And then it only takes us doing it 5 times to make a new habit, and how we can make new habits for ourselves. That's literally mind, body, and spirit. And it can change our lives literally by focusing on that.
You know, I'm going to live my life vicariously through you. And I say that because at some point in the vision for the network, and I think I shared with you, I love doing white papers. I love doing the white paper for you, and I'm having a harder time with myself, but it's very clear that it's now time to do this, right? But there's one thing for sure. After the show, I'm going to go to Issaquah, Washington to see Mary Jane Mack. Why? Because what you just said, I learned. It wasn't that I picked one or the other, but I was really sick. You brought up 2005. By the time 2005 came, I could hardly walk, but I couldn't share it on air. And by the way, I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't take that corporate job. So the universe really smart.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could do was continue to buy airtime, millions and millions of dollars, but I never blinked.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, the entire show changed.
Mm-hmm.
So you are changing, evolving, and transforming to tap into the pulse of what the world is needing now.
Mm-hmm.
So when this show ends, I'm going to go probably get hooked up to some light therapy, a form of an energy frequency machine,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
going to be given any kind of nutritional supplements or the purest made. And I'm
Mhm.
telling you, this girl from the Bronx
Mhm.
never thought that
Mhm.
that's what I would be doing.
Mhm.
So here's my question as we move forward. I know you have a vision. I know you can't share it all, but when you think about doing the show and you see the vision of the show, there's also a vision for how the show can impact people's lives.
Mhm.
What comes to mind for you?
When you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And I love talking about these things and I love learning. But I also like being entertained. So that's the idea. If that's why we wanted to do 90 minutes where we could just make it interesting and fun and educational in a way that's not boring. And again, being able to connect people with other resources and ideas and other people that are just like them. So that's really the big vision.
When you think about this next step, and I know we're going to get a little bit ahead of ourselves, and I don't necessarily want to do that. But I don't know if you're willing to share yet. You want to tell us who you're thinking about for some of your first guests on the show? And by the way, are you offering any kind of sponsorship? What are you planning?
We've reached out. We've got some big invitations out there for the first show, so I shouldn't really say yet.
That's good. Okay, yes, it's a
But
secret.
we are taking sponsorships right now. We have had many people come through that have really big platforms that that would do shows around the country or even that just sponsor other shows like ours. So we've got some good sponsorships lined up, but we really would like to partner with people that have a vision like ours that want to offer good quality resources to people that are interested in having a better life. So they can contact us about that as well. And again, that's the vision. I just
Yeah,
see we're not going to be an online spirit fest, but at the same time, it's all about connections. It's,
yeah. I love, okay, so two things I love. I love the world of AI. And so every time I say that, please don't email me. In 2019, came up with AI for the soul. And I've had to battle that trademark because I guess people, I don't know, they are what they are, but it's in part of what we're moving forward and launching. And the thought to me came, is there a place? Now, I don't know the answer, but I know you do. Is there a place in what you and I do to optimize this new innovative technology? And I don't want to call it technology because what I'm finding about it is helping so many people do things they never thought they could do. Now, mind you, you got to use some sense. AI
right.
doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
But when you think about an online festival, I
Hmm.
just think about how awesome or cool
Hmm.
having an interface. Don't ask me how to develop it. I will find that out and I will tell you. But how do you see us evolving in this new tech? Because a lot of your people that come here, they're bringing new tech, aren't they?
Oh, yeah,
Ooh,
absolutely.
ooh.
And I think a lot of people are even remembering this from, again, don't want
Yes,
too deep down the rabbit hole, but I think some of these ancient traditions are very ancient and that were forgotten, and that I think that they're coming back. But so we haven't really talked about AI, you and I, but I do use it, and I firmly believe that it is going to be the catalyst to catapult us into a new paradigm. We are just learning how to use it. So yeah, there's people that are doing some things that are irresponsible, and people are worried that it might put us out of jobs. But when we end up being able to use it to be able to do some of the basic stuff, then we can, focus on higher pursuits. So I think that it's something we need to not be afraid of. We do need to figure out some controls and kind of rein people in. There's always somebody who's going to do something crazy. But I think that we're going to see in a very short period of time that it is amazing. And we're just, like I said, expanding and accelerating so fast right now.
we are. Um, I want to take a really short break, Sierra. And when we come back, Mary Ellen is going to bring it full circle. starts as something from a childhood. It evolves into help shaping who we are. But then you have to go from the idea to action. So when
Mm.
we come back in our closing, Mary Ellen's going to share the pathway to fearlessness.
Mhm.
What could it look like on any given day? And yes, having two little kittens may help. Sierra, let's take a really short break, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, anybody out there that knows Coldplay, please reach out to them and give us permission to play Clocks again. It was so pivoting for us. Joining me here today, Mary Ellen, look, I'm going to say it, the Sanctuary Network. I just love it. It is also the name of the show. It is an overarching energy for you
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
And what I wanted to talk about in these minutes left is what I call the gathering. All the people that have come together to help and support, even in a world where I know you and I may feel like we're all by ourselves. What is the energy you feel now for where you are now and where you're going?
I really see we're just at a time where we've learned through our experiences in our histories, in the history since we have all been alive, and that would be, young people, through people that are elderly now. We understand about working together. We understand about growth. We understand about making progress. We understand we can be whoever we want to be. And when you follow your intuition and you follow your dream and your desire, if you have a desire to do something, that's just the way that the world works. There's somebody out there who's interested in it. I promise you. So follow that passion, follow that dream, follow that joy. And the more that you follow what you love to do, everything is just going to fall into place. The people, the things that you need, whether it's, financing or resources or knowledge or help, it's just going to come in there. I promise. Try it.
Well, I got to tell you why I'm excited about this. Mark Anthony, and
Mhm.
I do a show every Thursday night called The Psychic and the Doc. And I think we're in our 4 years. Fourth year. I don't count. But Mark is the guy that gets out like at all these events, right?
Right.
I'm not in a position to do that yet. But every time he goes out and he mentions the show, what people are asking him for is for us to go to a live event, like an event like you put on as the psychic and the doc, and
We would
do what
love
we
it.
do.
You are
And
invited.
thank you. See, because as Mark was talking about it, I was thinking to myself, I don't know anybody. Where am I going to go? And
Mhm.
Mark's already booked out, but we would make a special event and an occasion. And I
Mhm.
just thought about this because I thought about the energy you just shared.
Mhm.
See, that's the kind of thing that people are saying. It's not that they say, "Where's Dr. Pat?" It's like they ask, "When are you going to do these things together?"
Mhm.
And I think after speaking with you and working with you, what I realized is all of the stories that I have in front of me about why that can't happen is just an illusion.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you demonstrate by your story today and what you're doing is we can move past the illusion.
Yes.
We can move past it. I
Yep.
want to ask you one last thing. One, please remind people how to find out more about you. But also, I got to have your personal message. And thank you for that invitation, right? That's on the recording now.
Yes, yes, it is. So the sanctuarynetwork.com is our new umbrella page. It's still in works, but so keep checking back. Um, the spiritfestusa.com is all of our events. We are going back to Memphis in April, in addition to all of our Florida shows, and more are being added. Naturalwellnessexpo.com, we're doing 4 next year. They start, I think, in about the summertime. So between the best place, the main place is the sanctuarynetwork.com. As I said, that's just going to kind of be the umbrella, the focal point for everything. So that would be the best place to keep up. But we hope to see you at the shows. Come on out and see what's going on because there is fantastic people there. There
Yeah.
is nothing like what we do.
Thank you very much for everything. And it's funny because Linda and I were just talking. She's got a cousin down there in Florida. And, my folks lived in Florida for years. And I just thought to myself, it is time to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for opening your heart, your doors, and thank you for opening and expanding your vision to do a show here. Not only because it's a great venue, but because you really want to help people. Thank you, Mary Ellen, for that.
Well, thank you for that. But thank you for all you do and make it possible for us to be able to share our message as well.
Wow. And there's somebody behind the scene that's going to be very busy today pulling out some of the quotes that you said for clips. That's Sierra here today. For all of you out there, stay tuned. The show will be on Wednesdays, just saying, at 5 Pacific. And so I want you all to remember that, the Sanctuary Network. You'll hear much more about it in advance from us. You'll start to see posters, banners. It'll be in our newsletter. And as time goes on, Mary Ellen will reveal who the people are that will be there as she lines them up, who the people that are jumping in to support this, and what you all want more of. Thank you, Mary Ellen, for everything. Thank you, Sierra. And let me leave you with this. The show was about a journey. And if Mary Ellen said it once, I think she must have said it several times. Each of us have the gift inside of us to see the pathway, walk the pathway, and expand the pathway. Hold on to that and remember the Sanctuary Network. We'll see you next time.